So I'm at a point where I've had to make the realization that Raw could have been a much better show than it was in 2021. This year is proving it. I don't know what's going on. But in any case, welcome to DMK Wrestling with me, Darkman Kpakpo, and today I'm looking at the pros and cons for Monday Night Raw. Was it good? Was it bad? What should you watch? What shouldn't you watch on the show? And I won't lie, this episode was really fun. This might be one of the most one-sided pros and cons I ever do on the channel. I don't know, but let's find out right now. Becky Lynch kicked off this week's Raw with a promo talking about her match with Doudrop and how much of an opportunity she had given to Doudrop and the fact that she makes people better only so she can beat them. And then she was interrupted by Doudrop. I'm telling you, the music that these people are pumping out these days, man, it is so not intimidating. It's kind of like, I don't know. So Doudrop is saying she earned last week's opportunity and she is going to beat Becky at the Royal Rumble. They say Royal Rumble, not the Royal Rumble, which kind of makes the English very weird. And then she was interrupted by Bianca Belair. So she addresses the events of last week and then says she's declaring for the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble, and then she says she might be the first back-to-back winner and she will challenge Becky for the title. And I think that's the direction we're heading in, but don't pretend as if I never even said it, okay? And then she was interrupted by Liv Morgan. I'm glad I don't have an interruption counter, I'll just say that. So Liv Morgan also says she is actually inserting herself into the Rumble. I'm like, wait, you don't have powers to insert yourself into the Rumble, but okay, I guess you're a Nick, that's cool. So a mini scuffle broke out between the four women before the commercial break, and during the match after the commercial break, I'm telling you, this thing was not long, but it was effective. Pro. This match practically built Doudrop to be this monstrosity of a character and a huge threat to Becky's title reign. She was running through Bianca and Liv, even though they got some offense in, but it really wasn't much because Doudrop was just doing the work. Becky gets in the match, doesn't do really great. Doudrop practically pulls her to her corner, tags her over the rope, hits the the Doudrop, and then she gets the 1, 2, 3. And then after the match was over, she pulls Becky to the corner and hits her Doudrop on Becky. So this is going to be a very interesting match at the Rumble. I cannot wait. We then cut to the back and we see Edge and Beth Phoenix talking to Reggie and Dana Brooke, where Reggie's asking what his chances are, and Edge is like, hell no, you're not going to win this match, but good luck though. So after they leave, Edge links up with Damian Priest, whilst Beth gets a note from Maryse saying they need to talk in the ring, she should please show up later that night. And Damian is practically asking Edge for advice as to how to win the Royal Rumble since he's won 2. And then after Edge and Beth leave, Kevin Owens approaches Damian and is like, hey, I'm really looking forward to our match tonight. And Damian is like, yeah, you're really looking forward to it, huh? So then it was the Kevin Owens Show with a special guest, Seth Rollins. And this was good. I will give it a pro. Seth spoke about his encounter with Roman Reigns the previous week and how he was ready to take the title from him and how the Usos could not get the job done. Remember this in the video. It's going to come in very handy. Seth Rollins also did say that when he won the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns, he was going to change the title from blue to red. So there might be that lingering possibility that maybe Seth Rollins could beat Roman Reigns. I really don't think it will happen, but we will see. Stranger things have happened in WWE. I mean, look at what happened with Day 1 and Brock Lesnar winning the title. So just when Kevin Owens announces that he is going to be in the Royal Rumble match and that he will face, or hopefully face, his best friend. We know how those best friend angles with Kevin Owens have gone in the past, but just remember that as well. If he faces his best friend Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, it would be one hell of a match. Seth is like, oh hey, I like where your mind is at. But before things could get awkward, they were interrupted by Damian Priest. I'm telling you, I am so glad I don't have an interruption counter. So Damian Priest pretty much says, hey, our match is starting right now. And then we find out that Veer is still coming to Raw. And in this promo, at least there was some voiceover from Veer where he was saying the Lion has to take their time before they strike, something of the sort. But if I see this promo next week, I'm going to start a Veer counter. I'm going to go back into the archives of Raw from when they started running this promo in October. Just stay tuned and let's hope Veer actually comes for Alexa Bliss. I really don't know what's gonna happen. But the match between Damian Priest and Kevin Owens was such a banger, and I won't lie, you should go and check this match out in your leisure time. This was good. pro. There were so many close calls and near falls. At one point, Damian Priest kind of gets chopped by Kevin Owens a few times, and then Damian's like, oh boy, I'm going to turn it up on you. And Kevin's like, hey, it's just clean wrestling, right? Damian's like, okay, and then hits him in the face. And the match ends when Kevin Owens feigns an injury and is like, oh, I'm hurt. And I don't get why wrestlers do this. If he's hurt, just back up into the corner, let him forfeit the match. But no, you're now going to beat him up because, oh, you are big and bad and scary. And then he got hit with a stunner. 1, 2, 3, end of the match. Kevin Owens got the win over the US champion Damian Priest. And I don't know where Damian's character is going, but for this, it worked well. That's why I'm giving it a pro. Let's go on. We then had a segment with Nikki ASH and Sarah Schreiber in the back where Sarah was asking about her actions from last week. Oh, I do have a pen. Yeah, I'm going to keep this from now on. But the point of this interview was practically to establish that Nikki ASH is downright deluded, because she was saying all sorts of things like, no one, people don't understand what superheroes have to go through and some of the actions that superheroes undertake. So I don't know what's going on, but it kind of reminded me of this Batman saying from one of the movies where it was like, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Kind of what's going on with Nikki ASH. I have said this since last week. Nikki ASH should become Nikki ASV. Nikki almost a supervillain, at least that would make sense. But at least it's kind of giving a whole sense to the whole almost a superhero thing making sense. Heck, call her Nikki V, because now she's Nikki Villain. I don't know what we're doing. Just give her a sanity character back, please. The Alpha Academy then had a graduation ceremony, and I won't lie, this was so much fun. Pro. Now, it's just the mere fact that Chad Gable is so good on the microphone. I never realized it earlier. Otis was kind of the same way, and then they were interrupted. I tell you, glad I don't have an interruption counter. They were interrupted by Riddle. And Riddle had his whole graduation gown on, even though it was a different color. And then he had a whole speech which he had lodged in his tights. And then he starts giving the speech, and I won't lie, it's kind of funny. Chad Gable was like, okay, since you want to challenge us for the tag team titles, fine, you can have the match on one condition, that you face us in an Alpha Academy academic challenge. And you should see Otis's face. It's the funniest thing. It was a look of, oh no, I may not have studied, or oh boy, do you really want to do that with them? All this was a setup for Otis to get out of the ring, only for Randy Orton to sneak up out of frame behind Chad Gable and hit him with the 3 most devastating letters in all of sports entertainment, the RKO, to which they accept the match or the academic challenge for next week. This segment was downright goofy and funny. I loved it, so that's why it's getting a pro. We then cut to Mr. McMahon watching tape of Austin Theory from last month where he lost to Finn Balor. And Austin Theory comes in and he's talking about the match with him, the upcoming match that they were going to have, when Mr. McMahon threatens to nearly kill Austin Theory. And then he said he would take a selfie of bloodied up Austin and send it to his mama. So let's just hope. But yes, as I did say before, this was leading to a match between Austin Theory and Finn Balor. And even though the crowd didn't really get into it, the wrestling was fine. So I will give this a pro. Now, I won't lie, it really might not mean much by the end of it, but I do feel like they're building for a blood feud of some kind between Austin Theory and Finn Balor. So I really don't know where it's going to go, but overall, I think I did appreciate the action in the match at least, which is why I'm giving it a pro. It might be the weakest one I have given or I will give on this particular episode, but I guess we'll see what happens. So yeah, it can have a pro and we'll just move on. This was going to lead to a match between Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley, and then they got interrupted by the tag team champions Zelina, Vega, and Carmella. And the purpose of this was for them to just come out and say, hey, we told you so. We told you, Nikki, you were going to do exactly what you did to Rhea. And the match never even started, and Nikki just snapped and beat the crap out of Rhea Ripley. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to give this an absolute con. Also, this highlights the dreadful fact that WWE has literally no women's tag teams aside the champions themselves. It's sad that we are at this point. I really feel like, in hindsight now, the tag team champions for the women should never have been introduced if WWE knew that they were going to release so many women and stagnate the whole division. Also, don't be surprised if as soon as next week WWE decides, hey, Nikki, Rhea, we know you guys are in a feud, but why don't you team together and take on Carmella and Zelina Vega for the titles, and we run the whole classic can they coexist line. Should be very interesting. Either way, this did not work at all. It then led to the match between Reggie and Omos, and woe betide you if you actually thought that Reggie was going to win. That's not very logical. I mean, the guy is like, I don't know what the height difference is, but Omos kind of measured and it was pretty bad. And the match ended because of some 24/7 shenanigans where Dana Brooke passed through Omos's legs. Tamina almost got hit by Omos, but Omos was like, oh, you're a woman, I can't hit you. And then Reggie goes and defies the whole game plan of staying low and being fast and jumps from the top rope and gets caught by Omos for that whole tree slam. This is getting a con. I'm sorry. Even though Omos is being built to be this giant, the 24/7 stuff really ruined it, so that's why it's getting a con. Maryse then came down to the ring to try and talk things over with Beth Phoenix, saying she didn't want the match, Miz didn't want the match, so please let's just cancel it, let's just be friends, let's let our daughters go on play dates. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Beth Phoenix said no. You have to let your daughters have friends. But all of this was a setup, because when Beth Phoenix said, okay, I'm going to come and kick your little behind in the ring, Edge almost got attacked by Miz, but Edge fought them off. Meanwhile, Beth Phoenix got hit with that Gucci bag from day one. If you haven't seen my day one pros and cons, go and check it out. But she got hit with that Gucci bag in the back, only for them to reveal later that it was a brick, or what was called a designer brick in the bag. I'm telling you, they have designer bricks now. This world, man, my god. So this has some legitimate heat, more than just my family is better than yours, we are the better couple. I will give this a pro. We then cut to the back and see the Street Profits talking about the Royal Rumble match, and they were going on and on about it until Angelo Dawkins asked Montez Ford, hey bro, I know we are family and all, but would you really throw me over that top rope? And Montez just whips his head like, what are you saying? Like, I'm not trying to kill you, bro. But it didn't matter because they were interrupted by Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic. But then their whole point was they were going to take the Mysterio name to the main event of WrestleMania. And then they had an 8-man tag team match with the opponents being the Dirty Dogs. I know I said that. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Dolph Ziggler and Big Bobby Roode and Apollo Crews and Azeez. WWE really knows what they're doing with 8-man tag team matches or multiple man tag team matches, so I will give this a pro. The highlight of the match easily would be the double 619 from Rey and Dom, and then that frog splash from Montez Ford. The man has wings. The man is an alien. I've said it, but I'll give this a pro anyway. We then had this career retrospective promo for Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, practically comparing their careers and seeing how similar they are. And I won't lie, it's one of the best things on the night. And since it was given so much hype throughout the night, yes, I will add it as one of the things to rate. And I'll give this a pro. This was really good. WWE's editing team, it's almost unfair that I have to grade this, because WWE's editing team, despite trash that they can get sometimes, was so good with this. And yeah, that's why I get a pro. Kevin Patrick then caught up with Miz and Maryse in the back, and Miz said that since he's a good husband, he remembers his wife's birthday. I mean, okay. And then he also says that he's throwing a birthday celebration for Maryse on next week's episode of Raw. If we know anything about WWE, weddings, birthday parties, anything of a celebration doesn't really go as planned, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Then we got Alexa Bliss again in the therapist room. These segments are really not working for me, so I'll give it a con straight away. But the whole premise was to address what happened last week, and then he was going to call certain words and see what she would associate them to in her life. It was kind of like what happened with the Winter Soldier and when you call out words from his code book. Yeah, this didn't really work for me because I don't even have to say anything. That just don't watch this, okay? To be a waste of your time, at least for now. And whilst you're on the subject, I do feel like Alexa Bliss is super talented, and I really wish that the character would do something different. If you have to keep this character, at least let's go a different route with this, because these therapist segments are really not doing the best for me right now. Although I have to be honest, it's kind of fun, but if she reverted to old Alexa Bliss, sort of, through this, I guess to be worth it, but we will see where this goes. It was then time for our main event match between Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins, and this match was good, so I will give this a pro. However, before I start addressing anything that went on with the match, Bobby Lashley got his pyro back but it was this pyro where when he does the whole thing, the sparks don't fly at him. It's rather these rocket type pyro that goes into the sideboards. Bobby Lashley had the most confused face in the world. It is so funny. You guys should check it out. But seriously, what did we expect from Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley? They were going to do so well, and they did just that. Seth Rollins kept targeting the knee of Bobby Lashley since Bobby is so big. If you can't use the leg, you can't really hit any of your big moves, and that is what happened with this match. Most impressive spot of the match was where Bobby Lashley just picks Seth Rollins from the top and gives him this belly to belly type suplex. It's the craziest spot. It was so dangerous, but it was executed so well. But there was so much back and forth, and just when it seemed like Bobby was going to get the win, the Hurt Business attacked him, meaning Bobby Lashley got a disqualification win. But this disqualification win did not seem cheap because you want to build both challengers going into the Royal Rumble. So that's why I'm fine with it. But the two of them tried to do a suplex on Bobby. It didn't work. Bobby gave a double suplex to both men, and then I think he speared Shelton Benjamin or Cedric Alexander through the barricade. In the meantime, Seth Rollins got attacked by the Usos. They laced him with a super kick and then left. So remember what I said at the start of the video, or just around the start of the video, when I said, when he said that the Usos couldn't get the job done, I guess they did it here. So these will be two very good matches to see at the Royal Rumble. We have gotten confirmation of a weigh-in next week between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, and I think this is good. Now with Seth Rollins' situation with Roman Reigns, I wouldn't be surprised if they said, hey, because of what's going on with you guys always interfering, why don't we make this a steel cage match between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns for the Universal title? I would be down to see that. But yes, this brought us to the end of Raw, and Raw was such a good show this week. It was really good. It's really not a waste of your time. So due to everything I have said, I am going to give this a pro rating, and I just can't wait for the Royal Rumble. These people have a plan and they are executing as they should. So that's going to be it for this episode of Pros and Cons with me, Darkman Kwakpo. Please do subscribe to my channel. This channel, which is DMK Wrestling, and my main channel where I do mostly contemporary entertainment stuff, which you will enjoy. Post your comments down below, like the video, share it, and I will see you guys in another video. Do take care. Bye.